time for the Injury Report, brought to you by OMPT Specialists.
Welcome back to All Access Sports Medicine, the OMPT Injury Report, breaking down Jameson Williams' ACL tear. I want to know, the listeners, the followers want to know, the Lions fans of Detroit can't have another time where we just get hammered down with a bad pick. So I brought you on the desk today so we can actually break it down a little bit. Understand if we do need to be nervous, if he's going to come back 100%, what's that going to look like? And I think before you got something?
Oh, yeah, I'm listening to you. Okay. And is he going to come back 100%?
Yeah. And so before we get it, what I want to do is I want to show the injury. So let's show the injury. This is, again, Jameson Williams.
Young, who launches to Williams, who's wide open down the field.
Right
How,
there.
you wonder? He's to the Georgia 30.
And works
so
right down
again,
the middle
for the listeners out there,
the
passes at him. He's actually catching it behind himself, turning around, taking about 3 or 4 steps, and then step, tear. Awkward step. You know.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is, you want to, I mean, the mechanism, this is how silly it is. Everybody thinks an ACL injury is about some type of contact. We're seeing now multiple injuries with no contact. So then we can get into shoe wear, but I don't want to go into that. What they're wearing, how their foot's hitting the ground, the giveaway. You know, we've done so many things to improve the turf, the equipment that they wear to reduce the amount. And here is an unbelievable athlete, unbelievably fit, who it doesn't look like he did much. That leg just turned the wrong way. His body went in one way. He's got vector forces that are just fighting each other, and the ACL would give. I mean, it's terribly unfortunate, but the mechanism, I mean, it's obvious what you're seeing there.
Let's put up let's put up just the anatomy of the ACL tear. Dana Ponner's OMPT specialist. Take a look at this. Understand, I mean, this isn't Jameson Williams' knee, but give us a little context of what this looks like, how it happens.
So ACL is the anterior cruciate ligament. There are 4 ligaments in the knee that make it stable. You can see it's a bone on top of a bone, sand bone. So a lot rides on these ligaments. ACL is responsible mostly for rotational instability. So like as Dr. Pierce was saying, it's pretty classic. If you saw in how it was injured, his bottom bone was rotating outward, and his top bone, his femur, went inward. So it's a rotational and just a clean.
So we have right here talking about over rotation, but then also hyperextension.
Yes,
as two factors.
Two different mechanisms. You can get a hyperextension, or once it gives in rotation, you can go into hyperextension and can tear it the rest of the way.
Okay,
but it can tear in a hyperextension by itself also.
Well, it can also tear in rotation by itself. So
by itself, yeah.
What he had a terrible mechanism. Usually it's being hit, so you're hitting the lower bone and the upper bone going into a different direction. So you're hitting from the femur, from the knee to the hip, versus the lower. And sometimes it's just cutting. It's just you're changing directions. Like I said, there's vector, I talk with my hands, vector forces that will cause a shearing effect. And again, it's very vulnerable. I mean, and certain bodies are prone to it. He actually has great anatomy. Like we'll pick on a lot of young women athletes. It's one of the highest injury rates is an ACL injury because of their mechanisms, and we call the angles. So it predisposes them. But here it's just it's you know, is it a muscle imbalance from his upper body to his lower body? That's what we can start talking about.
So let me set it up. Let me set it up with what's questionable about this and what's good about this. So that he's so young and that there's no hit, and then he just tears his ACL. That's again kind of unusual that there's no hit involved. This happened January 10th this year in the Alabama-Georgia game. Correct?
Yep,
is that
it's
correct?
national championship game in January.
Championship.
So surgery, Dr. Pierce can speak to this, was done at Andrews Orthopedic University by a physician that I can tell, Dr. Kahn. I don't know him, or Kane, Dr. Kane, I'm sorry. Yeah. It was a clean left ACL, no other damage in the knee, just an ACL repair. I don't know what kind of repair, though, yet. I couldn't find that. The surgeon's protocol, which would be Dr. Kane's protocol that I read about, is return to sport or return to activity in 5 to 7 months is what he's looking at.
Okay.
He's at 4 months right now. So Jameson Williams is now at 4 months in his rehab process. The concern is when training camp starts, is that July, end of July, August, end of July?
For
Lions?
Lions, yeah.
So
yes.
The concern is He's really wants to play the first game.
So we have some video here of him actually doing some calisthenics. This is his. It's told that this is his training mechanism right now.
Yeah, this is him moving more laterally. There's proprioceptions. There's small fibers, so you can get strong like this. I love this one because it looks like it's so simple, but it's engaging so many things. It's proprioception.
Can you pause that for a second, Spencer?
Balance, neuromuscular re-education, right there.
So Dana, we're talking about let the listeners know what we're talking about. Of course, if I'm visualizing, I can see him on one foot with the foam on the,
So the left leg was injured. So he's got a band of resistance around his hips. So he's working both sides of his hips, his glutes. And then he's on an unstable surface, which is a foam pad. So he's working on his neuromuscular re-education, his proprioceptive control, and his strength. And again, he's doing functional motions in different planes, meaning that leg is going to go back, that leg is going to go to the side, that leg is going to come forward. All movements that are going to occur in football. So he's working his left leg, but his right leg is also working too.
And we talk about muscle imbalances. So thank you so much. Talk about muscle imbalances of that. Is that the reason why he's going on both sides? So there isn't that muscle imbalance.
Well, no. I mean, first of all, his leg that's affected is going to be a lot of atrophy, a lot of muscle. So you have to catch it up. But you have to train them both in sync. That's why I say when we talk about certain orthopedic surgeons, they like repair it and like whatever. You're now seeing an elite athlete, and everyone should be able to do that. He's working, it's not just a muscle. You want to get that muscle back to that tone, but you don't want to neglect the other side because you can start overplaying the non-surgical side. That's not what you want to do. You want to engage both. So the feedback, because the brain plays a mechanism here. Like when you see these balances and what Dana was talking about, a lot of that stuff is a feedback system through your brain. So the brain, what they're trying to do is tease out. So you can get big muscles, like people think, oh, I'll just get the big muscles going. When we talk about muscle neuro re-education, that's training everything, because when you're playing football, like he got the injury to begin with, he didn't predict that movement. His body did that movement. You're not going to be able to predict. For him to go in 100%, like we talked about some of the other athletes that we've had, getting back on, taking that first hit, doing everything, they're preparing him better. He's at a whole nother level of training. This kid's doing what today's medicine produces. Okay. So what we really started this segment with, what do the Detroit fans should be worried about? You shouldn't be worried. I mean, like we said, our son should not. Should not be worried. This kid has an unbelievable skill set. He was an unbelievable player before the injury. He broke records at Alabama, I'm pretty sure. I mean, he is a threat. This kid will get mentally back.
And I think that's, again, one part there that we should not be worried. And that's a lot of what the Lions front office is talking about, is saying we were at 32, we moved up, understanding that he had this ACL tear, but he is the athlete, the receiver, that skill level that they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, skill level is your body, skill level is your mentality, skill level is your mental strength. He's proven he has all that. This kid, a lot of times when they're injured, and somebody has said it, I won't quote it, but one of the previous professional athletes said, my injury early on in my career made me a better athlete later. Because these kids feel they're invincible, right? They don't train like they should. They take it for granted. When they have an injury and they have that wake-up call that I could be injured at any moment, somehow there's a click in their head that says, I'm working harder. I'm working harder than the guy who didn't have an injury before. I don't want to go back there. I don't want that feeling again. I don't want it to happen again. So I think this kid's going to be even better because of the injury.
That's a good point.
So we talk about the skills, we talk about the training, we talk about the mental stability that he has. And I think the other part that I want to understand is we always talk about the team and around this player. He had a surgeon that prepared it. Definitely wasn't a Lions, because he wasn't a part of the team.
No,
you know what? The Lions surgeon is top notch, anyway.
But what I'm trying to say is he still work in your opinions? Is he still working with that group, or is the Lions and now he's with them? Like, how does that play mentally?
You gotta understand, at the professional level, these guys go anywhere. It's not like I'm not locked to the Lions doctors, and that's what when I was into it. They would travel. Their agents get them to where, because they're They're big money horses.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they got a lot of money on the line. They're going to the best. You're talking about Andrews Institute. I mean, he's one of the biggest names in sports medicine. I mean, he's got an unbelievable facility. They have unbelievable protocols. They're cutting edge. They're like something we strive for.
Okay.
You know, at Michigan Sports Med, we endorse those kind of things. That kid's coming back at a whole different level. Because one, I feel, I don't know him personally, I think he's bought in. I want to be a better athlete than ever. I want to be as strong as I can be. I want to be up there. So when you say, I think what you're trying to say is, when do the Lions training staff take over?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to integrate. They're going to be one-on-one on speed dial with the doc.
Okay.
The doctor pretty much hears our protocols. And like what we do, we have to trust our therapists, our trainers. You take it to the next level. I can't be there every day. You're talking about someone who's with you 7 days a week. This kid's working 7 days a week, 24/7. He's got a lot on the line, but I think more than the money, he's got pride on the line. He wants to be a somebody in the NFL. That's why he was that great that's why he got chosen by Alabama. You don't get onto the Alabama team not being...
Yeah.
One more point.
The concern, though, here is for the fans and everything is he might not be going he might not be playing in the preseason. And why would they choose that for him not to? Because they want to make sure he's 100 or 1,000%. So I think if you don't see him in the preseason playing in the games, it's okay. It doesn't mean that he hasn't rehabbed 100%. They might just be saying, we're going to wait. Time is always on your side when you're young because you even get better healing. More time is better. So...
Well,
if they don't have to play him, even though he's
so
eager to
our
play.
5 points in review?
oh, jeez.
Yeah, pick those up.
5 points of review. I mean,
So, number one, do we feel it's a positive or negative? We took him on All Access Sports Medicine. We're saying it's a positive.
Positive.
Number two, he's young. His rehab potential is tremendous. I think his surgery, where he had the surgery repair and everything else, top notch. Well, we have our grading system, so we go A+ on that, A on his youth. What's next? His mentality.
Yeah.
I think this kid's got it. It's why he played for Alabama. He played for Coach Saban. He's a superstar coming out of grade school.
Correct.
Okay, he's got a dream of the NFL.
Guy was in a national championship. He used to play for Ohio State.
He probably made the difference why they probably
He
lost.
used to play for Ohio State. Was under the back burner. Went to Alabama, shined, and became a star. I mean, that's a story. He's got it. He has it.
So number 3 was mentality.
Yeah.
Number 4, I feel because of the injury, it will make him a better player overall.
Okay.
Dana, you got number 5.
Comeback strong.
Well, 5, it was just an ACL because it could have been worse. It could have been an MCL. It could have been meniscus involved, but just straight ACL injury that's just clean and.
Let's rehab it and go.
Well,
absolutely.
All Access
Sports Medicine tells you, do not be afraid. He is going to come back stronger. He will be playing for the
Lions
team.
moving up to number 12.
All right. When we